Welcome back to another episode of What Are We Watching? Hello, Keith.
It's really weird that I wanted to start singing "Deck the Halls with Bells of Holly" as soon as you were starting to talk.
Why?
I don't know.
Did you want to?
Well,
Has that ever happened before?
has this ever happened to you?
Has this ever happened to you?
You're sitting there with your friend about to cut a little podcast, and all you can think about is "Deck the Halls."
Deck the halls.
Classic Danny DeVito, Matthew Broderick, 2006.
What a weird movie that one was.
That's a good movie.
What else? What have you been watching? Did you
So
watch
the reason that I did say it though is Quinn Lord, who plays a character named Samuel in the movie we're about to talk about, is also casted as a Santa kid in Deck the Halls.
Deck the halls.
Just figured that's literally what I was looking at right as you started. That's why I was going to start singing.
Deck the halls with. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I should have done it.
Yeah.
I didn't. Should have done it, but I didn't.
We'll just cut this whole episode out.
Okay.
People will be like, why does it go from episode 22 to episode 24? So wait, what have you watched? I asked, did you watch anything?
Did I? You said that already?
Yeah.
Are you sure you said that?
I'll roll back the tape.
Yeah. Okay. What do you got over there?
Yeah, I rolled back the tape, and it's good.
You successfully.
I'll just tell the people that it was cut, or that I cut it, like stopped it, listened to the tape, and then zoomed us back in.
Well, I watched this movie that we're going to talk about, Trick or Treat.
Score.
Yeah, I watched that one. That's a good one.
That's a goal.
This to me is the Halloween movie.
I hadn't seen this one, and I will say I was pleasantly surprised.
Like, it's got everything you need in one movie.
Oh,
and it's
big
like
time.
82 minutes, I think it is, and yeah, it's got everything.
It goes by pretty quick. I will say the movie.
Got the
movie zooms by.
It's like updated, so people like Ethan at work. Like, oh, I can't watch anything before 1994.
For the year I was born, which was 2 days ago.
I'm just kidding, but not everyone likes to watch older things all the time.
Yeah.
So this is like an example of something that's like newer.
What year was this one?
2007. Well, I think technically 2006. 2007 is when it was released. Oh, sorry. 2007 is when it was actually released in like small quantities, and then 2009 is when it
is when it had like
got the wider distribution, and then it was actually brought to theaters last year for the first time.
Yeah.
Which,
I feel like they're doing that a lot these days. Like I'm hyped that theaters are kind of back now.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very exciting times.
Like you can catch John Carpenter's Halloween in theaters usually.
Big
One
time.
of the Living Dead movies. We saw Dawn last year. It was Dawn in 3D, which is pretty cool.
What was it? The original or the remake?
No,
the
original.
Oh, okay.
Original in 3D. It was
pretty
sick.
cool.
Yeah, I think they're doing it again for an anniversary this year.
Love to see it.
They did House of Thousand Corpses.
Wasn't that a double feature that you saw?
What?
Didn't they do House of a Thousand Corpses and something else? I thought it was a double feature. Am I not thinking of the right thing?
No, I didn't go to this, but they just did the 20th anniversary. It was like maybe 2 weekends ago. They just did like a quick little whoop, we're in.
Well, how you doing?
Yeah.
Not bad.
I didn't answer that question what I watched though. I watched a lot of stuff.
Give me your top 2.
Out of the stuff that was last week on the list, Candyman, I think is one of the best.
Oh, what a good one.
Actually, when we talk about slashers, that's an epic slasher to me. Has something a little different than the other
that
ones.
has like your like 90s tone that you like.
Yeah. And it's
slasher
like
movies.
Dark, grimy, cold.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going on. And what I like about that is they kind of keep they fill you in on the lore.
Yeah.
But it's not like, well, back in the day, here's
back
this story.
in the day.
You know what I mean? Like they just give you just enough to keep you scared.
It is a good one though. I
really like that. Anything based on Clive Barker stuff or Clive Barker is in on, I'm totally in on.
You're sold.
I actually watched the sequel too, which I think I had the third one growing up, so I saw the third one first. I started watching that one, and I don't remember a single part of it, so I don't know what I own it.
Didn't they just? Oh, they just remade.
No, the remake is worth watching. I was gonna
pretty good.
Put that on. I was gonna put that as like a little.
It's like a little bonus
on the thing. Like if you'd rather watch a newer movie, the remake that Jordan Peele wrote.
Very good.
Yeah, great director and great writer.
What else did we get? Did we watch?
I watched Wishmaster, which I hadn't watched in a very long time.
I've never seen that. I don't even know that movie.
That's about a djinn, however you want to pronounce it. Basically about a real life, well, not a real life genie, but like a real deal genie, not
like Aladdin genie. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And he's
Is it horror?
Yeah.
And he's not a nice man.
He's not a nice guy. And you got Robert Englund and Tony Todd cameos in there.
Incredible.
It's nice. That's nice. Very nice.
What do you watch? What do you watch all these ones on? Like all these?
I usually try to scam free ones whenever I can.
Yeah.
So like I'll look if it's on Tubi, I'll probably watch it.
Because that has
commercials
ads,
kind of
right?
suck, but Tubi's actually low. For me, I always say this until someone gets pissed off about it, but it's usually that's a lower amount of commercials per movie, and they have just every bizarre, weird horror movie on there.
Shout out to Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi has good stuff. I mean, I'll watch. Pluto has like an insane amount of commercials, but if it's only on there, I might watch it. I might buy it.
Yeah. Well, we were talking today, like, so basically the only reason I brought this up is we were talking today with a friend of ours, and he was like, "Where the hell do you watch all of these movies?" So I figured it would be probably good to.
But I have I have Max or HBO, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We have Amazon, Netflix. I don't know. I don't really watch much on.
They've been going down. They've been getting a lot of like
horror wise. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a lot of. It's turned into a lot of like Netflix specific stuff.
But they have cool stuff on there. But it's just I don't know. I'm never really in the mood. I think we have Hulu.
Yeah.
And then like Shudder. I have Shudder. So usually what I'm trying to
one
watch
of those
is on
you
one
just
of them.
do like a little cycle.
And then I think I will do any free trial for like any service if it's like a week and just cancel it immediately, and then I get whatever I was trying to watch plus maybe a couple others. Yeah. And for some reason they recycle. Like I would feel like you could never do it again.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, now the people know. So what do you got? Those were 2 movies. Did you both of them watches? You like both of them?
Oh, but people should watch Idle Hands. That's what people should watch.
Oh, that was on our our Halloween Spooktober list.
So if I could just cancel those and write down Idle Hands, that's what you should watch.
You say, oh wait, no, I forgot I didn't watch.
That's got the '90s movies. Devin Sawa vibe, Seth Green.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You know, Jessica Alba, whatever.
Whatever. I'm not even mad about it.
Not even gonna mention her, but she's in there, so whatever. But that movie's awesome. It's funny. Yeah. It's not gory in a bad way, but it's still gory. You know what I mean? But it's like it's like
still a little something
tender. I don't know, whatever.
It's tender.
It's like your '90s like fun,
your 90s
high school movie.
Your 90s tender movie. Yeah, I get it.
I don't think
it makes
it's tender.
sense.
I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know either.
I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying.
So we have 3 watches. It seems like.
Yeah. What about you? You always ask me anyway. What about you?
Oh, okay. I'm glad you asked me.
Yeah.
I watched
what I have to do, but it's okay.
Great. I watched a couple movies in a shocking turn of events, I feel like. It's on Netflix. It's like a rom-com called No Hard Feelings. It was actually pretty good. It was at Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that.
It was pretty funny. Yeah, it was pretty good. What was that face?
What face did you just give me? You gave me the one-eye blink.
We both just gave each other like a weird face.
Yeah.
No. But that was really that movie was really funny. Why are you thumbs up in the back? No. Yeah, that movie was that was good.
Don't worry about it.
God. You know what? No, I didn't watch it. So we can stop talking about it.
I know. I don't want to watch it either.
Great. I think Keith has a little crush on.
No.
Okay. Well, fine then. Never mind,
dude. I got to go home for dinner. You know what I mean? Jesus.
Okay. So anyway, I watched that one. That was good. I'd say that's a watch. Then I watched John Carpenter's Village of the Damned. That was okay. I liked it, but it was okay.
Damn.
Have you ever seen that one?
I have, but I just figured.
I'm a diehard John Carpenter guy.
Well, I know, but I figured there's an onslaught of other Carpenters to watch. I was like, oh, he'll watch.
No, it's been one that's just been on my list.
Oh, it's a new watch.
Yeah, I'd never seen. That's
okay. That makes
I've
more sense because I figured if
watching.
you've seen that one, there's no way you're gonna.
That's like a you watch one time type of deal. But it's all right. You know, we do what we can.
I will say this: I would rather watch Cronenberg's The Brood or Stephen King's Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn is probably the best. Like, I don't even know what genre. It's basically just like horror featuring.
I'm a freaking kid.
Yeah,
and I can kill.
Yeah.
All right, you should check out if you want the most messed up kid horror movie. There's a movie called Children.
Okay.
It came out in 2008, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like a lower budget movie, but dude,
it's good.
It is wild.
Yeah.
The kids. I won't really ruin it, but the kids kind of get,
are nuts.
we'll just say, infected somehow, and
Okay.
they start just
With the
slicing.
need
They
for
start doing
speed.
bad things to
Yeah.
the point where you're like, oh my god, would I throw that kid
Yeah.
through a window? I don't know. It's my child. But
Yeah.
Is
But
that
then in the
kid-
same vein, it's like, I don't know.
is that kid also trying to murder me? Like, what happens here?
Yeah. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I mean, that's a real dark, deep.
I don't. Yeah.
But it's
I
fun.
think-
It's fun. It's good.
Yeah. That is like a weird. It's like a weird genre. I feel like that would be like really tough to film like a violent movie with children.
Yeah,
Like Children of the Corn. That's objectively a terrifying movie.
we watched it again. We didn't watch it this year, but we watched it last year.
But that's a
Again,
good
and
one.
I was like,
That's a good
oh,
one.
there are so many sequels though that
Oh, they've ruined it with the sequels. The first one is just the OG one is the only one that is worth watching.
I want to watch two at least. I always try to give it the second one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Amityville, I gave it the second one, pleasantly surprised. Third one, not good.
No. Back in the Habit. Not good.
Back in the habit, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's your guys' thing or whatever.
Okay.
Back in the habit.
Great. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I watched. So, are you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
you're in the. You got the zoomies. You got the sillies.
Well, dude, I mean, we're sponsored by A&W now.
A&W
sugar.
zero sugar.
God said, "Let there be root beer with no guilt," and then it came.
It's
I'm
been a
like,
while since we've done.
Oh, can we talk about one thing I've been watching that I'm just totally back in on that my life might actually start changing?
What?
Dude, we started rewatching Sopranos.
Oh, my own.
Olivia calls it the Sopranis. She's like, are we gonna get a Sopranis in? I've
Sopranis.
cracks me up every time. I don't know
Yeah.
why she started calling it that.
Yeah.
Dude, that might be the best show ever made.
I strive to be as petty as Tony's mom one day.
Olivia.
You never call anymore.
You somehow did the face.
Oh,
How the
yeah.
hell did you do that?
That
I always
was-
wondered how her face gets like that. You just did it. You
She's like,
your
you're always talking.
her lips kind of come in. And
Yeah.
like, her face kind of shrinks in. Like
She's
it's like
she looks like a turtle.
yeah. And
What a great show, though.
Who's ever had that fucking haircut? That's not even a real haircut. You can't get that.
I told you she looks like Lord Farquaad.
You can't go.
Shrek.
You can't go to any hairdresser and say, "Give me this haircut." They're gonna say, "I've
Yeah.
never seen that."
Give me the Lord Farquaad cut ASAP.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I would love to do like a watch and talk about. It shows so it's so big.
There's a lot to cover in that one. So should
yeah,
we
I'm so
while we're talking about murderous children,
We'll start talking about the show.
should we start talking about the main event?
Yeah.
So-
What do we watch?
Where what
What did we
watched we watched Trick or Treat. Trick or
thank
Treat.
God. I think I just said it like a robot.
We watched Trick or Treat.
Yeah, but people do. Connor at work also called it trick or treat, and I was like, bro, it's clearly trick or treat. But let's get. You know what? We'll call it trick or treat just for.
So Trick or Treat, it came out release date like we said 2007 originally, and then had a wider release in 2009. This is 82 minutes. It had a budget. Oof, this sucks. The box office.
Well, but you have to read it and then we have to explain it. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
So the budget was 12 million, and the box office. This is what our sources are telling us. This comes from it's basically like the financial information on like the numbers of Trick or Treat. About 28,000 is what the box office made. So do you have like an explanation?
Well,
for
that I think it was released at like a very limited. It's like it was one of those things that were released in small like draft house theaters, I think. And like
Yeah,
it was
that's
that
fair.
was it Buttathon was the name of the
Yeah. So this
Of,
is
like,
coming
the-
from. There's
the
a
movie-
website called The Numbers that usually has pretty good, basically information about how much something does in the box office. Yeah, I guess that's right. That's true. I guess if it was only released in
it's well that doesn't make any sense because this on Wikipedia says as of October 26, 2023 today. Someone just
Oh.
updated this now. It
Damn.
grossed 27,000 in the UK. So maybe it went to the UK for the weekend
for
or something.
something. Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? It made some money. I don't really care if it made money.
No, I don't care
Everybody's
if they lost
buying
money.
it. Everybody's buying the freaking DVD anyways, and everybody's
Yeah.
buying the Sam action figure and blankets and the T-shirts. I'm telling you right now,
And the
people are
T-shirts.
trick or treated out
Yeah.
for real. I just can't believe it took you this long to see the movie with all the merch everywhere, dude. You go to Hot Topic, it's like, would you like a Sam lunchbox?
Where do I shop it in Hot Topic?
Oh, shut up.
Okay. So the cast for this one, I'll go over the cast because Keith has graciously offered to go through the plot. He said he was going to hold his breath until he passed out if I said no. So anyway, Quinn Lord plays Sam. Dylan Baker as Principal. He's actually Dylan Baker as Principal Stephen Wilkins. Anna Paquin. Anna Paquin as Laurie, which is a nice little homage to Laurie from Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That was weird.
Sorry.
Brian Cox as Mr. Krieg. His character, just up front, the way he's dressed, they wanted him to look like John Carpenter, which I just thought was pretty silly. So you'll get into. I hope you get into this a little bit, but they do like tons of homages to.
Oh yeah,
John Carpenter.
It's all over. Yeah, just Carpenter himself. There's so many.
Yeah, Laurie Lee Smith as Danielle. Rochelle.
Are you sure you're allowed to do this part?
Yeah, great. Rochelle as Maria. Britt McKillop as Macy. What? How would you pronounce her last name?
I don't know.
McKillop.
Sure, it's McKillop. Yeah,
McKillop.
It's definitely someone like.
Oh wait, ready for this one?
Reading English.
Ready for this one? Jean-Luc Bilodeau as Schrader.
See, you took your time with that one.
No, I didn't take my time.
Nailed
with
it.
that one.
You like thought about it and you nailed it.
I was like Raquel.
No, that's not what you started with. We'll roll the tape back.
Rachel.
I can't wait for Emily to hear that.
She's gonna.
You'll never hear none of that.
I'm gonna be sleeping out.
I hope she has like a
can.
friend named Rochelle that you just have to.
Yeah, talk to. And then there's a bunch of other people. I think those were kind of the main ones. Was there anyone else that you wanted to shout out along the way?
No. I mean, it's pretty. Everyone's pretty.
I think Brian Cox is truly the only one.
He's your biggest number. I can't believe he's actually on this Wikipedia list as number 4. He's really. I think he is titled first. Him and Dylan Baker. Dylan Baker is an insanely creepy dude in this. He's insanely creepy in another movie called Happiness.
Yeah. Oh, he's in that movie Road to Perdition.
He's
a weird dude.
He looks like a guy you can trust, but he isn't. That's the kind of guy he is.
Is that the quote that we're gonna send out with?
Sure.
Anywho,
be wary of the neighbor that looks like the guy you can trust, but
you can't
burying kids in his backyard.
Spoilers that we'll get to in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, you want to take us through the plot?
Yeah. I want to say that Quinn Lord is actually a small child that plays Sam, and we'll talk about why that's cool in a little while. It is weird though when they have kids in horror movies that have like deaths in it, but yeah, and then
so this is shot just in general like as an anthology. So I think Keith did his best to stitch it all together into one coherent. Because if you look at any summaries anywhere, they're probably just going to break it out by each situation. Keith, I think, took the time to stitch it all together into one thing.
Yeah. So this is an anthology. I think this is my favorite Halloween movie. This is my favorite movie for October, for November, for just the whole. Because when you just basically get dropped into a quick movie full of just homages to older Halloween stuff, but it all ties everything together.
Yeah,
and makes it relatable to like kids. And I feel like it's relatable to a kid, teenager.
There's a little
teenager turning an adult,
everybody.
and then like that older person. And he did it on purpose. He did it on the way he did it is on purpose too, which is cool.
Yeah,
but I just like how you basically drop in on the action right away. 1 second here.
So the film takes place while Keith is getting his little notes up. Takes place on Halloween night in the fictional town of Warren Valley, Ohio.
Yeah, which is God, sorry.
I don't think it really adds to the plot, but they took the time to tell you where it is, so I figured I would just say it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Halloween, where it's like a middle America.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like kind of like a town that. The vibe that I got is like they wanted it to be a town that everyone knows, like, oh, that looks like this town. Like that they're like, oh yeah, that's like so and so, like 10 minutes away from here, or like someone who lives in there.
Like when I go downtown, we have this Halloween parade just like that.
Yeah,
dude, I don't know who has the Halloween parade like this, but I got to find that town.
Dude, go to
nope, won't go there.
Oregon.
That sounds terrible.
It's like miles long. The people are restless there.
That's what I mean. That's too much for me.
Yeah. That's
You know what?
it's
Maybe
a
I don't
lot.
want a Halloween parade like this.
You know what? I hate Halloween. I'm just gonna say. I'm just kidding. No, I love Halloween.
All right, so we pop off with a quick old school black and white trick or treat commercial stating the rules of Halloween. One is always wear a costume. 2 is always hand out candy. 3 is never blow out.
A jack-o'-lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern, and 4 is always check your candy. I think it is something like that. Those are the 4 like main big rules. And then it fades out into the Carpenter pumpkin, the Carpenter style Halloween pumpkin,
cool.
which I was like, oh, this is a little nod to the big guy.
I see what they're doing. Yeah,
But it's cool because I see something new every time I watch this, and I
Yeah.
feel like every time you watch it, you will see something new. So we get dropped right into a cold open scene with a young couple. He's dressed as like I don't even know what he is. He's like kind of leather clad, like almost like an executioner without a mask.
yeah. I think that's like the vibe.
And she's dressed up as like a weird robot.
Yeah. And she is like super bummed out. It seems like she did not want to do that. But her costume is like the most elaborate. She went like,
That's what I'm like, yo.
she got like air ducts to like.
I was like, listen here, woman. What is going on? Like, did you just have a bad time at the parade?
Yeah.
So the wife is blowing out the jack-o'-lantern, which the husband tells him, don't ever blow out the jack-o'-lantern. Yeah, it's rule number 3. I mean, just don't do it.
you know, so
And
we said the fucking
she's like,
rules or
she's
whatever.
like, why? She's like, why, honey? But she looks like she's the one into Halloween.
Yeah.
So it's confusing.
Well, the first line is the first line of dialogue. One of them is her saying like, "Oh, I had such a great time. Makes me want to feel like every day is Halloween." Like you can tell
yeah.
that it's just like whatever happened didn't go well. Yeah.
And you hear the sigh / groan or whatever it is from far away. You don't know what it is, but you hear like you hear some kind of voice.
Yeah.
With that like POV style camera following them. So
It's supposed to be like you're seeing through. It's again a nice
Yeah.
homage to Halloween,
with
where
the
you
steady
see
cam
the
So I think that's cool. And then they go inside. The husband goes inside, puts on a tape, which you find out later is a student film. I guess on Halloween they have a little Halloween party inside. The wife decides that she's going to take down all the decorations tonight, even though he warns her. He's like, I wouldn't do that.
Like she's talking like it's the house is gonna burn. She's like, my parents are coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking Halloween. You have she's like, they're gonna have a heart attack if they see this. It's literally like the most tame decorations I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's a lot though. Like it's scary.
It's ghosts.
It's a lot to take down in one night. That's
Just wait and do it tomorrow.
yeah. That's gonna be a long
you
trip.
clown.
So there's a masked man across the street staring at her, just like Michael Myers, which is another homage, I feel like. And then she's just ripping down the sheets. And this is where you said it looked like Bob wannabe Bob from Halloween.
From
where he's got
Halloween,
yeah. And then she keeps ripping down the sheets, and I got the vibes of Halloween. I think it's 6 with the old couple where she's out doing the laundry and she gets sliced and diced out.
Is that the one where you see Michael in the laundry?
Yeah. Well, I think you see him in you see him in 1 too, like that. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
That one you see in 5. You see him in that in 5, and then she gets sliced and diced, put in the old washing machine. Husband finds her. That the tale is old as time.
I've seen it 100 times.
If I haven't seen it once, I've seen it twice for sure. She's ripping down the sheets, and then all of a sudden, the last one she rips down, something pops out inside a sheet and just tackles her through a fence in front of the 3 kids that look like rip-off killer clowns from outer space, and she just gets brutally sliced in there with what ends up being a bitten-off pumpkin lollipop, which will be the iconic weapon of choice of the unseen beast.
Spoiler.
And then the husband wakes up to the student film tape ending.
Student film.
Yeah, we have a guy that does those, but goes out to find. So this is where I think of Halloween 6 when their little kid's standing under the tree.
Oh yeah, and you
blood's
just see
dripping
him
on the kid.
Yeah.
He looks up, and then there's a dude wrapped in Christmas lights.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So he pulls the sheet off. He turns around, finds the wife crucified with the like a fucked up scarecrow with a pumpkin sucker shoved in her mouth, and that's how the movie starts.
There was that opening scene when he kills her, like when she's killed, it starts her blood is like steaming. You see that in like the very beginning?
Her blood is steaming. No, I don't.
So a lot of the blood in this, if it's like had steam coming off of it, they boiled it right before they used it so that it would look like it was a cold night and like it was like hot blood basically. That's how they got that little effect.
That's
So
cool.
anywhere you see like the steam coming off of it, like the special effects people boiled it. I just think that's kind of cool.
Wait, so that she had boiling blood on her?
I guess however they like laid the effect. Yeah, it was
Okay.
like hot, so it would
Hot.
be steamy.
It's like, all right, you're gonna have some 3rd-degree burns, but this scene's gonna look.
Well, I mean,
awesome.
I think it's supposed to be Halloween. Like, I don't know when they shot this movie, but if it was 80 degrees out, like, you're not getting steam, buddy, unless you boil that bad boy, you know.
So we get the title card, awesome comic intro with the comics flipping.
Yeah.
All
So
your-
those were in the opening comics. Those were like the writers and the staff. Those were artworks that they did. Just not outside of the comic. There's other like pictures and stuff. That's stuff that like people on the staff drew and like family pictures and stuff like that. Apparently, which I thought
That's
was kinda
cool.
cool. Yeah.
And then I think there's a scene. I saw somewhere, if you pause at the right spot, you can see someone's face early on in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know whose though.
I don't know. All right, so we flashed the downtown, the Halloween parade celebration, and then right into our first story with some unseen young ladies dressing up as their favorite. I have Disney princesses, but there's only one Disney princess. It's Cinderella. Another one is
Well, the other
Little
one's
Bo
Red
Peep.
Riding Hood.
You got Red
Yeah.
Riding Hood, Little Bo Peep, and I don't know who the other is. I don't know who the other person's supposed to be.
I have no idea.
She's got like some kind of. I was thinking Aladdin, but it's not Aladdin.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But we get Huff and Puff jokes, which are cool. So there's some wolf jokes happening here. early
Yeah,
on.
everybody's having fun. There's a little kid who's like trying to peep on them in the changing room, which is nuts.
And the mom says, "Ladies,
Yeah.
there's children."
So
out there."
that kid plays Sam.
that
that's
kid is
Peep.
that's also Quinn Lord.
Yeah,
That's him.
yeah. They wanted to give him some like non-hidden screen time. So they were like, "How about you look at these ladies through a crack?"
Hey, look at them. You can check out Anna Paquin's, her rough interior. You know. I don't know what that means. I know somebody's not gonna like that. I don't know what that means. But we meet Lori as Little Red Riding Hood as they're trying to pick up, and they start to go try to pick up dates for the evening, as they call it,
Yeah,
which will take on a whole. And this is where we meet Lori, and it's kind of like Laurie Strode in the situation.
yeah.
Back to Halloween, where her friends are like wild, like
Yeah.
like about to go do some bad stuff on Halloween, and she's kind of
About to go be devious.
yeah, you know. All right, so then we get a little lard bucket. Fit the car. I said I have fit to carve a wooden pickle. Have you ever seen Bad Santa?
Yeah, that's. I was
It's-
gonna say
he looks just
Thurman
like him.
Merman.
He
That's the
looks like
kid.
Thurman.
Yeah.
His name's Charlie, trying to take all the candy. So he's just. Well, he's also the kid that's dragging that like putrid
Oh, yeah, that thing's gross.
bag of what I think is supposed to be chocolate through the town. But yeah, he's just going through, knocking over pumpkins,
Yeah.
being a dipshit.
His shirt is awesome. It
Yeah,
says,
this-
"This is my
Oh
costume."
my god! But he's just like a little sweaty mess, and
Yeah.
he gets up to a house, tries to take all the candy set out by the creepiest principal of all time,
Yeah.
and as Charlie begins to stuff his face, so he gets caught red-handed, and he's like, "Oh, Charlie, why don't you sit down?" And I'm
He's like,
"Oh."
yeah.
He starts explaining Halloween to this kid. He's like, "Oh, cool." You can tell he's so excited. Pulls
Yeah.
out a crazy chef's knife,
Yeah.
and then says, "Oh, this is for the pumpkin, not for you." And just starts like, I'm like, oh, "Okay, well, this is insane."
Well,
So-
yeah, like why was he's like, "Oh, my other one was too dull. I had to go get a new one."
Yeah, it's like,
Like, dude, it's just a pumpkin. Just try again
Yeah,
next
like, what are you
year.
talking about, buddy? So then he starts stuffing. He's stuffing his face. All of a sudden, he starts getting sick and starts spewing Stand By Me style chocolate fountain vomit everywhere,
Ugh.
and to the point where he just dies right there.
Yeah.
So then you realize that
Well, the principal says, "You forgot one thing. You didn't check the candy."
he's like, always check your candy.
So this is like the second rule that
So this-
someone
yeah.
broke.
never blow out a
Jack-o'-lantern.
never blow out the jack-o'-lantern.
and
Always check your candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you find out that Principal Wilkins is actually a devious, weird principal that is poisoning the chocolate and
Yeah.
putting all kinds of bad things in candy.
Yeah.
And so he decides to pull this bloated corpse inside, has to like heft him up, gets blood and
yeah.
like chocolate mess all over himself.
That's nuts.
Pulls him inside right as he gets more trick-or-treaters.
Oh, I love that.
And then this is where you get your first 3 little trick-or-treaters collecting the jack-o'-lanterns. And then they see him and he's got literal blood all over himself. They
Yeah.
think, like,
I think
he
they're
kinda
just,
looks
yeah,
like
it's a costume.
he looks like could be
Yeah, they're
from
like nice,
Reanimator
nice
or something.
costume.
He looks like he'd be from a Reanimator. And then what? And then as they walk away, the one little pirate kid's like looking at him like, "All right."
Well, he looks down on the porch and
He's just-
notices the blood
He's
like dragging. Yeah. He's like, Happy Halloween.
So they leave, and then right away you meet our this is our first glimpse of Sam.
Yeah.
And he's just this little kid with a sack on his head in an orange jumpsuit, also carrying a sack. And so he gets Halloween candy here from the same devious principal.
Yeah.
Then it seems when he starts pulling his sack away, it sounds like there's like an alive cat inside.
It's like, wow.
So you're like, what's going on with this kid?
Yeah.
So Wilkins then takes the bloated corpse to the backyard where we have a pre-dug grave with a sack body already in there, and drops a still alive fat boy on top. And the neighbor's dog Spike, which I always thought when I first saw this movie, his name was Spike.
Yeah,
Spike.
I thought that was Spite.
Yeah. Actually, it is actually the Frankenweenie dog trying to come out of the gate until he chops off a finger and throws it over the gate for the dog to eat. And at the same time, Billy,
his dipshit kid that keeps being like, Dad! Yeah.
I'm home for trick-or-treating. I want to carve the pumpkin. And then he's like, why don't you go watch Charlie Brown? This is one of my favorite parts of the movie. He's like, why don't we go watch Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin? He's like, Charlie Brown's an asshole. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then you get the line,
funny.
Don't forget to help me with the eyes. I love that.
Yeah, he's like, are we going to carve a pumpkin? Yeah.
And
he
then
keeps saying, don't forget to help me with the eyes.
So at the same time, you get this old cranky neighbor played by Brian Cox, dressed as John Carpenter.
Like such a bizarre,
dirty, old,
disgruntled guy. Yeah.
NRA rifle-having neighbor who tells him that.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor says to keep his kid out of his yard. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And as Wilkins is going inside, he sees his neighbor screaming for help. So Wilkins is going back inside, and now this guy's screaming for help, banging on the window.
He's like, go fuck, get fucked, dude.
And then
can I talk about the scene when the kid's still alive in the thing? So he throws in Thurman Merman, the bigger kid, into the ground, and he's like trying to bury him, and he's like still squirming around, and he just keeps getting ready to like wind up to bash him with his shovel, and his kid keeps being like, Dad, out the window, and he's like, what? I just thought that was like such a bizarre. Oh, and it's just such a bizarre scene. But his neighbor, when he comes out, he's like, "What the hell are you doing out here, hiding bodies?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Ha,
yeah, no, I'm definitely not."
He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm just hanging out in a hole at nighttime." Anywho, Keith, take us away. Oh, you were.
No, you're good. So then Wilkins and Billy go into the basement to carve the jack-o'-lantern. Billy keeps saying, let's go in the basement, and you're like, what? And he's just like walking really slow with his knife. You're like, what the hell is happening? And then
he's muttering to himself, like, because his kid's just annoying the shit out of him the whole time, and he's like, yeah, maybe if your mom was still here, like, you just are not, like, I can never make you happy. And he's like, how about we go to the basement? And he walks down in front of him, and you see the dad, like, pull up the knife, like, behind him.
And yeah, so that, and then you can say what he does.
No, I shouldn't.
Why?
I'm not allowed.
You're not allowed to say that?
Sable said I wasn't allowed.
So he brings the knife down, and you're like, and you're like, oh man. Hopefully he
just
didn't.
domed his
the first
kid,
time I saw this, I was like, oh man, he might have just killed his kid. That's his weird. But he just you find Thurman Merman's head just sitting contently, disembodied on the table, and then the kid looks at it all happy and says, "Don't forget to help me with the eyes."
Yeah, fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre.
That is nuts. So that's the end of like the second story, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the end of that's the first conclusion you have to a story so far. Okay. Like I think the thing at the front is like a little vignette or something like that's the robot family.
That's fair.
I think that's the way it works. And then you get your three trick-or-treaters go on to a neighbor's house. And this is a weird scene.
Yeah, so these are the three that originally went to the principal's house. These were like, and then they basically, so now it's like, all right, we're done with that guy. Now we follow these kids that just left there.
Yeah,
it's cool. I like how they kind of like pick up and they're like, all right, we finished that story. Now remember those people you just saw? Here's where they were.
Yeah, they like intertwine all the stories at the same time.
I also, just as a side note, I heard like while I was looking into the production of this movie, apparently the editing for this movie sucked so bad. Like, just to try and shoot everything, because they would shoot, like, I'm assuming both sides of some of these scenes, because it's like what we'll get into. It's like one person's having a conversation, and then you'll see like at a different time you'll be like, oh, that was that conversation that I heard. Like, so the way they do it, and they just said it was a nightmare to like stitch together and keep track of everything, of all the shots and stuff like that.
It's crazy, and I still get confused as to like the pacing and something. I was like, wait, that happened earlier. So this lady and a cat opens the door, and I think it's either a teacher or someone's mom or something, and it's
Oh,
just a
I
really
love this.
confusing scene where it's not very comfortable.
Yeah.
She's like, she shakes her butt in front of the kids, gives them candy.
She has like a huge hickey on her chest too,
Yeah.
and she's like, "You kids want a drink?"
And then so they're walking away, and this line kills me. Can I say it?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Coach was in a hot dog costume, butt fucking a pig, I think. I don't know. I forget
Yeah,
it happens
that
every
was
time.
really funny.
Dude, it is the craziest line for a kid to say.
The kid, like when they open the door, they look back and it like cuts to what's going on back there.
I was going to describe it, but I didn't even want to.
The
It's
kid,
a bunch of
it just like flashes back to this little chubby kid in a pirate costume. And he's like, "Holy shit!" It just kills me.
But the scene is just like a bunch of weird adults in weird costumes, all with all kinds of chub just hanging out.
They're all just like
it's a
hooking up with each other.
mess.
It's just gnarly. Yeah.
So they continue to collect their jack. We go back to like more, wholesome fun here. They continue to keep collecting jack-o'-lanterns. We pick up our fourth and then our final fifth trick-or-treater, Rhonda, the scary witch.
Yeah.
And we end up traveling to a cliff where we find out the Halloween school bus massacre took place 30 years ago.
So we are now on to our next story.
Yeah, on a late Halloween afternoon.
Oh, this one was so good.
Yeah, this is like, this might be the best part.
There's so many. Well, we talked about like some of the homages, but I'll just jump in along the way if you want to keep going with this one. I'm just gonna I got some stuff lined up.
Oh, okay, okay. So we get a flashback to the bus ride with 8 kids. We also get the car from Christine, the red car in the shot of the bus. There's the red car from Christine in there, which I think is awesome. And
I guess to set the stage, like this is. The one girl is telling them this because they basically were gathered. These were the kids. They were gathering jack-o'-lanterns. Yeah. Everyone they were trick-or-treating to. And basically they were like, they have this big cart of jack-o'-lanterns. And they're like, what are we doing with these? And this girl is like, did you guys hear about brings them to this cliff. And then they're like, oh, this is where that school bus. And then he's like, yep. So this is why we're here. And then she tells the backstory of the.
Yeah. So it's basically 8 kids with learning disabilities, all on a bus. And I guess all the parents are disgruntled with having to take care of their kids, which is kind of insane, but that's how the story goes. And it's like they're all handcuffed together inside, like they're all handcuffed to their seats, which is
they're
insane.
all in costume.
They're all in costume, all in different costumes, all handcuffed under their seats. Yeah, there's a really weird vibe to the scene. Yeah, and the bus driver's pulls up to a cliff. He goes the wrong way, and the one kid's counting the houses, and he's like, he realizes they're not going the right way. He's like, wrong way.
Freaks out.
Wrong way. He's freaking out. And then the bus driver pulls up to this cliff, just starts casually handing out candy to everyone. And you're finding out that the parents were trying to figure out what to do with these kids. And they're like, I don't know, take care of them like any other normal parent. Jesus Christ. Yeah. And they got money together to pay the bus driver off to, I guess, accidentally drive this bus off a cliff. Yeah. And kill the kids.
And kill them.
While he's setting this whole thing up, the one kid that knows they're going the wrong way is able to slip out of a handcuff, just dressed as Dracula. Yeah. And just runs to the front of the bus, and one of the other kids trips the bus driver as he turns around, and that kid just drives the entire bus off the cliff with the bus driver on it. Yeah. So
it's donezo.
His whole plan just went out the door.
Yeah.
The bus sinks. The driver supposedly gets away.
So yeah, the story, I think the story is like, yep, the only person, because all the kids were like handcuffed up basically. They were like, the bus driver was able to get out, and like no one knows where, like no one's seen him since, basically is how the lore goes. So this was one of the first parts. So those kids that played like the basically like the students with disabilities, they actually like reached out and found people like actors with disabilities to play these parts. And because cool. He basically was like, I want to give people opportunity basically. And it was basically just like an I don't know if it was like during an interview or something, but they were like, that was the most fun film. Like these actors had so much fun, and they were all like super talented. And I was like, that's so awesome. Like, I don't know. I feel like some directors don't.
That's cool.
Do cool stuff like that.
Have you seen the movie Champions with Woody Harrelson? It came out last year.
No, you told me about that.
Dude, that's another movie where they actually reached out and they got it's Woody Harrelson has to coach a basketball team of disabled kids, mentally, physically disabled kids, and they actually got like all the kids in the movie have some sort of physical or like some sort of disability. Yeah, and like the first time that he met them was on set. Yeah, and like everything was just like authentic. Like he he said he learned from the experience, like about all these things about people with disabilities that he would have never thought about. And it was like a really like wholesome, like cool experience. And all the kids were like insanely good at like acting and just they're just basically being themselves. Like just all the jokes and stuff are like ad-libbed.
Are all like natural.
And
That's
just
awesome.
like
It's such a it's crazy. I know this is like not super related to this movie specifically, but like the whole like the community of like families who have kids with disabilities is like, if you don't live in it, you have like no idea how like close and how like supportive like that whole community is, and like that's just really cool. So I always try and I think it's like I like when people try and highlight like the communities with disabilities to like raise awareness for it. So that's my little fun
that's
fact.
Cool.
That
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So they've collected their 8 jack-o'-lanterns for the 8 kids that died that day, and we also get the origin of Halloween as Samhain. I always say this wrong. I always thought
it's Samhain.
I always thought it was Samhain.
Samhain
Because that's how it's spelled, but it's Samhain.
Okay.
Or Samhain. Samhain. I'm sorry.
Samhain.
That's how it's pronounced. That's the Celtic term for it.
Yeah.
Which is the original Celtic holiday on October 31st at the end of like the original summer, and it's supposedly the time when the barrier between the living and the dead was the thinnest.
Yeah.
So
like stuff like there was
over,
you could like cross over it, which I thought that was cool. I didn't know like that was the original.
But
Samhain,
oh my god.
I only think
Samhain.
of the band.
Yeah, Samhain with Danzig. Yeah, it's great.
That's the only thing.
That's what I call it. But I guess they've been saying it wrong. Everybody's been saying it wrong forever.
So I don't know. You're being pretty quiet out there, Glenn Danzig.
Yeah,
so,
buddy. Sounds like you blundered that one,
pal.
But anyways, that holiday was based on like human sacrifice.
Yeah,
it was insane. Like the pictures from it is like almost like a giant wicker man with people stuffed all the way inside of it, just ready to get lit on fire. I guess
ready to get lit.
But yeah, and then trick or treating comes from some Americanized version of like giving out like it's like not gourmet but some sort of food, and that turned into like candy, and then turned into like, oh yeah, you owe me candy on Halloween kind of thing,
like, or I'm gonna egg your house. Like that's nuts.
So yeah, but that's where we get with that. And then our fearless children start taking down the elevator, the 3 like henchmen.
I also love that there's just like a utility elevator on a cliff.
Oh yeah, and only 3 of them can fit in it no matter what. They stuff some of the jack-o'-lanterns in there. They go down. The whole idea is that they have to bring all 8 of them down there.
Yeah, all at one shot.
So they bring 3 down. Rhonda.
So they leave. Yeah, they leave the quote-unquote weird witch girl and the kid dressed as the pirate.
Oh my god!
Up at the top. So they're supposed to kind of come down like second.
Yeah. So we go back to the parade. We're in an alley. This is where you didn't like. The Phantom style vampire,
because this part it like jumps back and forth.
This is what I'm saying. If you rewatch it, like all this stuff makes more sense.
Yeah.
But we get a Phantom style vampire man who has just bitten into his date, which you're not sure if he's really biting or not, because they're kind of like making out in the hallway or in the alleyway.
But then she gets like really woozy. Like,
and then she looks down. There's blood everywhere. So she tries to run into the parade. Like this is really to me reminiscent of I Know You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Where SMG is running. Trying to run to the parade and just gets biffed right before she gets there.
So that parade, that was the actors they used for it, like the people that were there like celebrating and stuff. That's an actual annual parade. It didn't happen right there, but they had people. I think it was like maybe near the town or something. The people that were there, they've been doing that type of parade, like in those costumes with that type of music for like years and years and years. So they wanted it to be like an authentic. They didn't just want to be like, oh, let's just get like a band together. It's someone that's like actually does a Halloween parade. I think it was like I can't for the life of me remember the actual name of the parade that they do for it, but I thought it was similar to we did it in our Ferris Bueller Day Off episode. I think it's funny that sometimes people are just like, oh yeah, we have a parade scene, and they're just like, all right, just like get a parade, like a real one, and then just do it there.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I just completely
no, you're fine. No, you're fine. So she actually makes it out to the parade, grabs hold of our robot woman.
This is the bloodied woman.
Yeah, she's bloody. She's full of blood.
Bit.
Trying to escape the masked Phantom of the Opera guy dressed as a vampire or whatever confusing outfit he's in.
Yeah.
And then she's grabs the robot lady's arm, and she's like, what the hell? And like no one believes that she's actually being murdered.
Yeah.
So she kind of freezes, and then you see the masked vampire man grab her, and then kind of off screen kills her, and then leaves her for dead on a bench. Just like kind of props her up,
because it looks like there was some other people that were like, there was like empty beer bottles everywhere, so it was like, oh, she just passed out. Like as one of someone who walks by is like, oh, she's just really. It's actually the couple that we see at the beginning. She grabs the robot lady's arm, like Keith just said, and they look at her, and she's like kind of like mumbling because she's really woozy. And the guy goes, "Oh, honey, she's just so drunk. Like we just got like, come on, let's keep going. Like, we got to get home."
Not like, oh, she's actually dying.
Yeah. Well, next to her, they flash back, and she kind of like looks over. There's a bunch of other people that are only wearing like bloody clothes, and they're all like slamming drinks. So it looks like she was just in that group, which I thought was like such unfortunate timing.
So we have Little Red Riding Hood, whose her main goal is to find a date for the night, and this stalker / vampire man starts following her.
Yeah.
But then so we flash back to the creepy bus accident. We realize that the four musketeers are trying to scare poor Rhonda, because now they're all down there.
Yeah.
And the pirate man is down there, and the little pirate kid pretends to be a dad and have his intestine being ripped out.
So I think the three of them dress up like drowned
like the
people,
dead kids.
like basically the dead kids, and they start chasing her. She books it, and then like turns, and then the pirate kid has like little sausages taped to him, and they're like they're ripping it out, and he's like screaming, and she's freaking out. That is pretty good. That's
and
pretty
then
good.
She keeps running, and then she falls, slams her head, and gets knocked out. And then after the reveal, and then after the reveal, they attempt to console Rhonda.
Yeah. Well, the one kid does.
Yeah.
He was like,
oh,
he's like, this is fucked up. Like, I know we were just trying to do a prank, but like, come on, like, what are we doing?
And then while they're trying to figure out what to do and get out of there, the real 8 dead trick or treaters taken too soon show up, and so they're all well, the one girl gets pulled with chains.
Yeah, that was nuts.
So when these guys pop out of the mist, out of the fog, it's like really almost dead on. Yeah, John Carpenter, The Fog, where they start.
That was cool.
It's kind of like a revenge thing too, just like that.
Well, it was neat because in that scene, like before they came out, like before they came up, they basically, the one girl, the lead girl, who's like real bitch, she was like, "Oh, looks like we left one of the jack-o'-lanterns lit." And on their way over here, when they picked up the girl, she had a ton of jack-o'-lanterns lit, and they're like, "Why do you have so many?" And she's like, "Oh, like it's Halloween, like they protect you." And so she kicks it out, like basically puts out the thing, and then instantly, like people the drowned kids come out.
So you get the John Carpenter style weird zombies coming out of the water.
Yeah.
And then little Rhonda you see her, she's on the lift on the way back up
with a bunch of lit jack-o'-lanterns all around her, which I thought was super cool.
She's being surrounded by the safety lanterns. And then you can see the other kids are trying to get in the lift, and it's locked. Yeah. She has the key inside, and she's like, they're like, please, please, please. And she goes to like,
she's like holding the key like she's going to put it in the lock. Oh, that was so good.
And then last minute
presses the up button.
So she gets up to the top, and all you hear is like eviscerating and gurgling and kids getting sliced up. And so they just basically become fodder for the terminal bus beach death scene down there. And then you also see Sam. At the same time, you see him in the corner come out with his little sack. At the same time, he's just like, "Oh,"
he just like moseys on by, like.
So she leaves the scene with her little jack-o'-lantern in her wagon, and then we cut to the woods where we find the girls dressed up from earlier. So we have so we've had Billy, the little kid, we have the older kids that are trick or treating, and we have the teenage 20-some squad.
Yeah, that we saw dressing up as the
vixens, we'll call them.
Yeah, I guess that's a good name. I don't know. And
then we find out there's all kinds of like wolf jokes this whole time, and we find out that Lori was actually the runt of the litter. And at the same time, so our masked phantom vampire was in pursuit of our Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah. And then he ends up biting her. But then it cuts back. So that happens like in an alley, and then it cuts back to her robe falling from a tree. But it's really the masked vampire man inside the robe. And we're like, what the fuck is going on?
And this is like, so this is similarly there, kind of the whole subplot with that is that like the whole time her sister and her friends, it seems like she's kind of like an extra person. Like she's not really like the other girls in her group. Like she's more quiet and is like, I just want to like stay in. And she keeps hinting that like she wants to lose her virginity. But like it flashes to this party, and then she drops down this dead body, like this guy, and she's like, I just wanted my first one, like my first time to be special. And you're like, wait, what? Wait,
what's up?
I thought this was a very different like plot. So Yeah,
So
that's a cool scene.
So she walks out into the clearing, and it's revealed that the masked man has fake teeth and is in fact Principal Stephen Wilkins from earlier, who's poisoning kids' candy.
Yeah,
and he's surrounded by corpses. You look around, there's all kinds of guys around them with throats ripped out. You're like, oh no! And then cue the music. Marilyn Manson, "Sweet Dreams" hits, and then we get the sultriest, craziest transition werewolves in a woods.
Oh yeah, that was gross. They're like peeling off their skin, like degloving all their limbs. I was like, oh.
Yeah, they're peeling each other, they're slicing each other's backs.
Yeah, the one girl like slices her finger down her back and like rips open her.
It's like a striptease kind of, but then all of a sudden they're just turning into werewolves and they're just ripping dudes apart.
Yeah,
and then she's the last one to turn, but she turns. It's her first time turning.
Yeah,
that's always like they're talking about like this is our time of the month because full moon.
Yeah,
werewolves, and then she just her teeth show, her face starts morphing, and then she just
rips into him. So I think that was the first
then she says back to him. Oh yeah, because he says
when he fights her, he's like, "My
what big eyes you have." So she says it back to him. "My what big eyes you have." And
yeah,
starts ripping. It's ripping to shreds. Yeah, I love that the werewolf scene.
It's pretty good.
It's so good. But then we go back in time, it says earlier, and we get the 3 trick-or-treaters dressed as the knockoff killer clowns being scared off a stoop by a set of yellow eyes, which is actually just Spite and the old man's neighbor wheezing.
Yeah.
So the old man neighbor is wheezing. Spite has like a little weird mask on with the yellow eyes.
That's pretty funny.
Scares them off. They go flying. They go through the fence, and this is actually in time when Spite. Okay, so then we have that. Then this is also the same time that the principal is in the backyard burying the bodies.
The way I like to look at it is when they filmed the neighbor poisoning that kid in the beginning, they were also filming the old guy at the exact same time. So like while this is going on, assume that the neighbor is killing a kid next door.
Yeah.
And it's literally the exact same time. You're just being shown it. Like one at the beginning of the movie, and this is like now. So it jumps around a little bit. It's a little hard to keep track of, but once you realize that it all you're like, oh shit. Because then he has the whole dialogue, and like this guy, he's like kind of a curmudgeon-y. He's described as like a Halloween hater. Like he's just done with it. Then it's like the other side of the fence where he goes out and he's like, what the fuck is my neighbor doing? Like burying this person. So I'll let Keith take it back over for us here.
So this is actually Spite is chowing down on the human finger in the backyard. Principal is burying the body in the backyard, and there's a kid that runs through. You see a small child running through, which is actually Sam, but he eggs his house, cracks the window, whatever. And then that's who the old guy was like, keep your kid out of my yard, because he thought it was his kid.
And that's why the neighbor at the time was like, what? Like, I was just talking to my fucking kid. He's upstairs.
He's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
So Spite's now barking. So he goes back inside. He goes outside to talk to his neighbor, do his little NRA bit. Goes back inside. Spite is now barking at the front door. So he goes to check that out, opens it up, and there's just miles of lit jack-o'-lanterns all over his yard. And he's like, what the?
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck? Yeah.
So then the dog door in the back starts swinging, and now Spite's now barking upstairs. So he's like, what's going on? So he goes inside, goes to find his shotgun, and then you hear and you see Sam run across the top steps. So you're like, oh man.
He's like, you got the fucking dog.
He's like, what the hell's going on? So we hear footsteps giggling, and then so we see Sam run across the hall. Old man Krieg checks his room, and you go in there and you see something moving in the bed. So he rips the cover back, and it's just like an animatronic mummy hand. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, this part was like, this one, I was like, what is going on here? Like,
and then all of a sudden, a jack-o'-lantern I call them jackos in here. A jacko in the corner just lights up like a huge flame. Yeah. And then all over the walls, it says trick or treat, trick or treat.
I guess in blood, right?
In blood, you're supposed to, Give me something good to eat.
That's
like
nuts.
all over the walls. Like, he's probably like, what happened? I don't even like this holiday.
Yeah. And then, like, I told you I described myself as a Halloween hater, so I don't know why you're here.
So he's standing by the bed, and then Sam sneaks up onto the bed, and just slices Achille.
Yeah.
With what you find out, that's with the candy wrapped box cutter.
Yeah.
But really, it's not a box cutter. It's
a candy bar.
It's a candy bar from the principal.
Yeah.
So the principal is not only putting poison, but he's putting razor blades in the candy. So that's
always
the candy
check
he
your
got.
candy.
So you gotta always check your candy.
Yeah.
So he slices Achilles, and then he takes a shotgun and tries to blow Sam's head off. He escapes marginally, and Krieg continues to shoot. I don't know. I missed other. Oh yeah. So then old man Krieg falls down the steps.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a bunch of like rock candy basically at the bottom that he's
like razor blades and candy, hard candy, like ripping.
It's
off.
Pretty good. He like tears his hands up to shit. Yeah, that was nuts.
And then he tries to knock for Wilkins. This is where he also in line tries to knock for Wilkins on the door or on the window. He's knocking for him, and he's like, "Oh, whatever, this old man." So this is happening.
Fuck this guy.
So he's being like murdered by Sam at this point.
Yeah.
And then,
so I'm gonna jump in here real quick. So there's two things. So one, the candy that they use in this movie, like all the candy bars, because they were poisoning it and putting razor blades in it and stuff like that, they couldn't get basically authorization to use any real candy bars. So all of the names are made up. All of the candies.
Imagine like a Zagnuts or like a Hershey's
like,
bar.
I love Three Musketeers.
Oh yeah.
So basically, they were just like, we had to make it. So all of the candy that you see, like all of them are made up names, which I just think is like, that was probably a really fun time in the writer's room to be like, all right, we have to make like 10 fake candy bar names, which is just kind of cool. And then also this scene with the old man after he falls down the stairs. There's one continuity issue in this movie, and it's right at this scene. So he falls down. He has the little candy all over his hands, and it's like hurting him basically. So he can't pick up the gun because it's hurting him so bad. He tries to go to the door, and he's fumbling with it, but it hurts so bad because there's like razor blades in it. But the very next scene where he's knocking on the window, he grabs the two like bars that are on his windows that he put there, which I think is kind of just funny. But like, he just grabs them and isn't in any pain or anything like that. So that's like the one continuity issue that I saw in this movie that I was like, wait a minute, I thought he couldn't open the door, but now he's like just gripping up a steel bar.
Well, thank God you're on the case. Cause
yeah,
like,
dude. So
the whole world would never known that.
Oh my God, I'm just gonna.
Michael Dougherty messed up. You want to call him? You can tell him.
Yeah.
Like, yo, dude,
all right,
Brian Cox, you suck.
Dear Google, what's this guy's name? Anyway,
so then
I didn't have a lot to add to this movie, so I wanted to.
What do you mean? You've
been
saying all kinds of wild things in here.
Let's just air out all our issues with each other right now.
What's your issue with me? Tell me right now.
You're too talented.
Yeah.
So anyway, what do we got? Where are we in the movie?
So we're in the same scene we were just in. No, Sam attacks him. His sack head gets ripped off, and this is the first time you see his actual face.
Yeah.
Which
he's like a miniature pumpkin head.
Yeah, he looks just like I think that's cool. He's like a pumpkin man.
The pumpkin man.
The pumpkin man. So then this is where old man Krieg actually gets a shotgun out and blows a hole
clean through his little pumpkin head.
Yeah, blows him against the wall and then just keeps shooting into him. Shoots a hole in him. Pumpkin guts are coming out.
Shoots his hand off. Yeah.
That happens in Child's Play. I was thinking about that. That's like maybe a little nod to Child's Play there. I was like, all right. And then he goes for the phone. So he's trying to dial 911.
Yeah, on his fucking rotary phone, you dinosaur.
So the phone cord gets pulled out, and then you see the dismembered pumpkin paw stabs him again with the
little razor blade. Yeah.
And then cousin its way back to the host.
Yeah, it's just like
and then you get the line.
Oh, the JC line, right?
Yeah.
What does he say?
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
So that was like a direct. They pulled the shot. So the scene that I almost said I keep wanting to say ripping off, but they're not. It's basically just like a tribute to. So in The Thing, McCready is on the ground in a similar position, and he sees the head move across the ground.
Yeah,
like
spider head.
The spider head, and he's like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me!" So they basically stole that exact or borrowed that exact dialogue. Again, just as another homage to our boy JC, John Carpenter.
So the hand goes back to the body, kind of does the little.
Oh yeah, the little sleeve pull.
gets reinserted back on the wrist, and then he also brings the sack with him, puts him back on, and now he's reattached. Sack goes back on, and Sam grabs his signature pumpkin lolly out of his bag, bites it off.
He's getting ready to stab him with it,
and he goes over to stab Krieg because he's like, oh well, now he's gonna finish this guy off, and he goes to stab him, and then he pulls away the lolly, and it's got a candy bar on it. So that there's a scene earlier where Krieg's eating the candy, he takes a bite of it, he's like, oh, and spits it out. But really, that candy saved his life, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that's always one of the rules. Always give out candy.
Always give out candy.
So it saved his neighbor earlier, who gave him the razor blade one, and then it saved him.
Yeah.
Always give out candy.
So then he's leaving the old man alone, who's revealed to be the bus driver. As you can tell, he was burning some pictures earlier. You get a close-up on it, and it's all the kids on the bus. So you're like, oh, this is the dirty old bus driver from 30 years ago. So Sam exits, and then you get three little piggies coming up for their candy. They get a handful of dirty mints. He's like, oh shoot, I better wise up and give these kids candy.
He gives
now.
these kids something.
But he gives them like the
Werther's Originals coming at them.
dirty mints that are just in this box under the steps or whatever.
The hot tamales that you have under the
And then Billy is next door, the little kid. He's actually at this point dressed up as his dad with the same glasses and the same blood stain all over his shirt. And you're like, what the fuck? Your dad's a scumbag, dude.
Yeah. Your dad's dead.
Your dad's dead in the woods.
Sucks for you, dude.
And he put on fake vampire teeth and then got ripped apart by some werewolves. And then he's giving out candy just like his dad should have been. And then Sam's waiting outside. Rhonda almost gets hit. She has her little wagon. She's coming back from her little adventure. She almost gets hit by the older girls driving. They slam on their brakes. And then the couple from the beginning is coming home. And you find out they're across the street.
Yeah.
And then Sam is watching. He hears the conversation. He sees the jack-o'-lantern get blown out. Hears the conversation. And so he goes and makes his way over there.
Yeah.
So that all comes full circle. You're like, oh, the beginning is the end. The end's the beginning. Well, here we go again. Oh, Hallows Eve. Samhain.
Yeah.
And so then Sam goes and does his little duty, and then we get a knock back at Krieg's door. He opens the door, and it's the dead bus kids, all 8 of them, all grimy, dirty, with their bags out, looking. And you're like, oh no!
And he's like, shit.
And then Trick or Treat hits the screen.
I think it's cool they showed his fate, like he's being ripped apart, but it's like the comic version.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ripped apart at the end. I thought that was really cool. And then it all comes to a wonderful close. So yeah, if you try and track. Like, I think it's cooler to actually tell it how the movie portrays it. Like, I don't know. We were thinking about how we wanted to cover this one, and a lot of people seem to cover it like, oh, then like we're going to tell this part of the story. We're going to tell this part. But the last 15 minutes of this movie made that whole movie like worth the watch alone. Just being like, oh
shit!
Like seeing everyone come together. I
wish I could see it again for the first time because the pops are wild in this one. When the reveals are like, oh man,
yeah.
So
I was really
thing
hyped with it
that I never noticed, but I saw it. Someone posted it. So when you're watching the intro scene, robot couple is over at their house. If you look closely, the house next to them, you see the 8 kids.
Oh, really?
In the first scene.
That's pretty cool.
If you saw the movie, you wouldn't know that those are the 8 kids that died 30 years ago and are coming back to kill the bus driver.
Yeah.
But they're in the first scene.
That's
so
pretty
it's like
cool.
really weird how.
And I think it's like you said, it makes it seem like all of these are separate plots, but all of their houses are directly next to each other.
Yeah, and that's also a callback to Halloween, where like the babysitters are across the street from each other. Like everything's happening like right in that little Haddonfield street.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I had something else. Oh, so he actually started making this concept for this Sam based on the actual holiday, Samhain. They use Sam as the name, but he started making this concept in 1996 as a student film, where different kind of student film, but he made like an animated version of it called Season's Greeting. It's like a 3-minute movie.
Yeah, you can see that on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube,
which is really neat.
Yeah, the director has on his YouTube has like all the original trailers, some featurettes, the original Season's Greetings short, and then there's actually a whole set of like promotional ones he did where he did one for each rule. So there's a 1-minute video for each. They're all new videos that came out probably 2012, 13, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But they're all with Sam. They all have a kid in them, and they're like there's 4 of them that are like, always wear your costume, always check your candy. Never blow out a jack-o'-lantern. There's one for each rule. And they're honestly twisted and crazy.
I think it was, if you look at it, obviously they're all like hand-drawn and hand-painted stuff. Like, it probably took them a while to do all the
really cool. They were like 1-minute clips. And then there's a couple, so I guess they were doing like a 24-hour FearNet marathon of the movie. So then they had all these teasers throughout the year. There's a Father's Day one, an Easter one, like a Christmas time one. with a snowman. A Halloween one, that one's like probably the craziest one. It's called Making Friends, and it's like on Halloween.
That's pretty neat.
And they're making a Frankenstein. And there's like the day after, where it's just like an aftermath after Halloween.
Yeah.
And I think there's one more, but there's like so many cool, like if you like this stuff, you like Sam, like there's all these extended like small shorts.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, all this is so cool.
I think it's neat. Like, I mean, obviously I think anthologies are like really tough to pull together, but I like how they had that similar thread of Sam throughout all of them. Like you could see him just kind of like peeking his head in, or like at the school bus one where he's just like sitting on the bus and he just kind of like walks past her. I really like that. I think he's like a very, I don't want to say a likable character, but he's almost like adds a level of like comfort to it. You're like, oh, yeah, there's Sam.
Oh, Sam. And then it's everywhere. Everybody has Sam stuff.
Yeah.
So around Halloween time, it's on every, like shirts, hats, like any kind of merch you can get Sam stuff. And it's like way more, I guess, acceptable, or like you said, comforting than like, oh, here's a Friday the 13th shirt, or here's Michael Myers, here's a butcher's knife.
Well, there's also another cool thing about this movie, which I waited until the end specifically to bring it up. Like, not only I think that they attached, like, Sam isn't like a scary little dude in this movie, but also all these kills happen off camera. You don't see a single kill on screen. So I think, like, it's really weird how they were able to use basically like a non-threatening like link between all these of like Sam, and then you actually don't see any kills, and the movie still hit like this hard and was still like pretty creepy. I just think that's like a testament to the writing and the like the people that made it basically. But it's cool. I liked this one. I really enjoyed this one.
I heard someone call this a mix between Crash and Creepshow.
Like
how all the stories come together.
Yeah.
But then it's like Creepshow, where it's like all these like vignettes or whatever. Like small stories that come together. I like it. I just think it's cool. I think it's a fun, cohesive. Like,
this is one I'll probably add to like.
I watch this.
I'll probably add to the Halloween list.
I watch this one every year, at least once, and we saw it in theaters last year. Like the
That's
sound,
so cool.
the sound in the theater made everything hit like way hard. Like all the kills you're talking about off scene, like it still was like, oh my
you're like,
god, everything it sounds crazy. I was like, damn, I'm glad it made it to theaters.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Should we wrap this one up? Did you have a quote for this one?
Oh.
I feel like this wasn't the most quotable movie.
I love the.
I like the always check the candy line. That's good.
I mean, that's like the one that's like on like any T-shirt. It's probably gonna say always check your candy. Yeah. But I like that. Don't forget to help me with the eyes. That part was like, okay.
That was fucked up.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with that one. So, Keith.
All right, fellow listeners, hope you have a happy Halloween, and don't forget to help me with the eyes.
Until next time, everyone.